Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Africa Hospitality Investment Forum podcast. The podcast that looks to spread a little light on the African continent and everything that's hotel investment related. I'm here today with Erwin Garnier, the Development Director for the Africa region. Welcome to the podcast, Erwin.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be here and discuss together about hospitality and hotel development in Africa.
Well, welcome. Just for those who don't know you, you're obviously focused on the African market. Is there any particular areas, or do you extend out of Africa itself? What's your territory?
I'm senior director with Radisson, covering Africa for the past 8 years now. So originally I was covering Indian Ocean and West Africa. Then I moved into West Africa and Central Africa. And today my territory has expanded a bit. I cover West and Central Africa, the countries where you speak Portuguese, Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, and as well as Morocco. So I'm based out of Lisbon, and I cover a range of those countries. Obviously, there is focus countries because if you make the count, there is about 20, 22 countries I'm covering. But the main focus, I would say, is Morocco and Nigeria.
Okay, so Radisson now is one of the sort of most recognised brands across Africa in its development, and if not globally. Can you give an overview of the brands that you have at your fingertips as a organisation, and give us an idea of the size, scale of both the global piece, but also where you are in Africa?
So Radisson today is part of an international Chinese group called Jinjiang. Jinjiang is number two hotel group in the world. Radisson today worldwide has 1,500 hotels in about 120 countries. Now, if we narrow in Africa, we have about 100 hotels open and under development in 32 countries. We're the most diverse as in terms of countries. If you look at the other operator, there is bigger than us, but in terms of market penetration, we would say we're the one that has the most expansion because this is in our DNA to enter into untouched market. Our objective is simple. By 2030, the aim is to have 150 hotels open and under development in Africa.
So within 6 years, another 50%. Are there any particular market? You mentioned obviously Nigeria, Morocco being the key ones here. Do you have a sort of strategic plan then for however you what percentage are going to be in each market, or are you just looking for opportunities opportunistically across Africa? What's your plan?
Our plan roughly is to have an expansion about 10 hotels per year. And we have created a strategy where we have identified key market and key cluster. So in the cluster of North Africa, we're focusing on Morocco. In the cluster of West Africa, we're focusing in Nigeria. In the cluster of Southern Africa, we're focusing in South Africa. And in the cluster of, let's say, East Africa, we focus in Egypt. So we have four focus markets where we're focusing highly our efforts. And then we have, let's say, secondary market, if I can call that, where we also put effort into it, but we know we have a bit less of scale. The market that I identify, the four markets, we know that we can have 20 to 25 hotels on the long run in those markets. Then there is secondary market, if I can call it like this. I would say, there is prime market and there is focus market. And those focus markets, such as Ivory Coast, which is truly a focus market.
Those markets, though, is it going to be a proliferation of different brands within them, different types of hotels, or are you looking at certain markets where certain brands fit? What sort of what brands are you looking to sort of include into those markets?
We have 10 brands. Our brands are positioned from 3 star to 5 star.
Yeah,
All our brands can go from hotel product, serviced apartment product, resort product. Our strategy is as much as possible to enter into the market with our strongest brand, which is Radisson Blue, which is the first brand that was created and the one that is almost expanded right now, because obviously when we entered in 2000 in Africa, we had two brands: Radisson Blue on the 5 star upper upscale positioning, and Parking by Radisson on the upper mid-scale product. We have grown our brands over time with different positioning, and the market is more driving our strategy. What I'm trying to say is, overall, if you take a big snapshot at the market in Africa, it's mostly a business demand with a positioning that is more on the upscale positioning, which means that we see that Radisson, which is our upscale brand, 4 star positioning, is the fastest growing brand that we are developing in the market, purely because of the market demand and the return on investment for the owner. So in the end, our strategy is to diversify and do a mix between developing business hotels, but
yeah,
we also see a lot more post-COVID demand and appetite for serviced apartment, whether it's standalone or mixed with a hotel,
yeah.
and creation of new leisure destination, which are appealing for resort developments.
Do you think they're the opportunities in the market at the moment? Resorts seem to be on everyone's agenda at the moment, and obviously serviced apartments or these sort of guys. Is that a missing piece of the jigsaw for you, or is it something that is being demand driven at the moment?
We receive roughly 20% of our developments are either resort or serviced apartments right now. So the demand has been growing quite a lot. And we see new destination. We recently signed last year in a new country like Gambia, Radisson Blue Resort Banjul. There is no international operator over there. There is no brand either with development or pipeline. What I'm trying to say is we see more and more appetite in this positioning for multiple reasons. One, it's because there is market demand, and two, is also because a lot of the owner are looking at not tapping into the same type of development and getting into the same challenges where you already have investors working on. So there is more innovation, and I think it's a trend that will continue because we see more and more of those projects.
You spoke about being an organisation that's over the most number of African countries compared to your competitors. Some obviously face, similar challenges to getting projects done. What makes Radisson unique in getting these products done? Do you think in some of these countries where others can't get them done?
I think it's a combination of factors. I think one of the factors is we've been working in Africa for a long time, since 2000, and we have a team that has been on the ground with, I would say, less turnover in a way. So we have a team that is more experienced with Africa and dedicated to those markets that are in fact very specific. Over time, we have learned the hard way that signing doesn't mean opening. And the materialization is in fact the main challenge in order to be successful into hotel development. So our due diligence has been much stronger than we used to do. Today, we require a lot of information before signing that most of our competitors do not. So we're on a different, I would say, appetite. I
Yeah.
think some of our competitors have the appetite of signing, which we understand because we were in that stage a few years ago.
And what,
Today, our appetite is about opening. So signing
yeah.
is
Yeah.
is a nice flair, but for us is when is this opening? Because at the end of the day, this is when the owner is making money, and this is when Radisson is making money. So this is still
So
a
what
financial
what are
business.
some of those key performance indicators on that then? What do you actually do to ensure that, post signing, that actually it opens? Where have you got tighter?
The key today is to really go in depth into the whole project costing and funding. What we need to understand before signing is the project costing realistic?
Yeah.
Is the owner aligned and understanding how much funding is being required? What is a debt equity ratio? What is the source of equity? What is the source of debt before signing? So we get to a certain level that gives us security that the project will be materialized. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that it will happen because there is things, and it's this is Africa. Sometimes there are things that happens that are completely out of your control.
Yeah.
Currency devaluation is one of them that makes your project potentially go upside down. And you cannot plan that 2 years or 3 years ahead. So it's part also of the game to have unplanned event that may impact, unfortunately, negatively your project. But we do the whole homework to make sure that at least what we have under our control is being analyzed and in fact is for the benefit of the owner and the benefit of Radisson, because in the end the aim is to have a successful project that is viable on the long run and not to be, for example, over leveraged with debt that when the hotel will open, the repayment will be too high. So there is a lot of learning that we have from our past experience because we learn from our mistake and we grow from it. And I think this is where we are getting a bit ahead of the curve. Is we're maybe smaller from our competition, but we're also agile enough to make things move quicker, have a bit of, we're an international group, but I think we're very entrepreneurial. So there is speed of execution internally that help us to say yes, no. And in the end, the reality is are the result. And the results are simple. For the last 3 years, we opened 20 hotels. So it really shows that our pipeline is materializing and there is no other operator that opened 20 hotels in 3 years.
Now, I'm aware you've got a very important call coming up, so I don't want to keep you for too long. But you talked about the equity, the funding side of things. Is obviously one of the big challenges of any project. What would and it's really difficult, I suppose, when you mention Africa because Africa's 50 plus countries and everyone works like that. But we always hear about headwinds of doing projects in Africa. What's the one or two things that could change that could really support the growth of the industry? Do you think? And what sort of message would you send to the governments or the markets themselves to say, look, if you could get this right, this would really, really speed up development of tourism and infrastructure in your country.
You know, at the end of the day, the governance is a key into the success of those projects. You know, I currently took over Morocco at the beginning of the year, and there is obviously a king that provides a lot of stability into the project. The stability gives confidence to the investors. The investors are comfortable with equity, and banks have lower interest rate
Yeah.
that facilitate the funding. So it's all connected. So in my opinion, the key is to have a government that is stable and allowing investors to be comfortable to look at funding hotel project, because at the end of the day, it's all about this financing, and the financing is based on the environment.
Well, thank you, Owen, for taking the time today to talk to us a little bit about plans. I look forward to meeting you again in Namibia in a few weeks. Thanks for taking the time, and good luck with all your plans and development in the continent.
Thank you, Matt, and see you in Windhoek.
See you. Bye bye.
Thank you for tuning in. For more information, visit our website at www.ahif.com.